The emergency alarm screamed through the stellar harmony, a deafening shriek that sent every crew member into immediate panic. Dr. Velthar, the ship's chief medical officer, burst from his quarters with 3 emergency medkits clutched in his 4 primary appendages. His chitinous exoskeleton clicked frantically as he sprinted down the corridor, his compound eyes wide with terror. "Where is the human?" He screeched into his communicator, his mandibles trembling. "Where is James?" "Observation deck, Doctor," came the panicked reply from the bridge. He's still conscious, hurry." Velthar's hearts nearly stopped. Still conscious? After 15 minutes of exposure? The human should have been dead within 3. The observation deck doors hissed open and Velthar charged through, medical scanner already deployed, antidote injectors primed and ready. What he found made him freeze mid-stride. James sat casually on one of the curved benches overlooking the starscape, his legs crossed, completely relaxed. In his hand was another one of those cursed fruits, bright crimson with purple veins pulsing across its surface. He was taking another bite. "James, no!" Velthar shrieked, rushing forward. James looked up, cheeks bulging slightly, and raised his eyebrows. He mumbled around the mouthful, then swallowed. "Oh, hey, Doc, what's wrong?" "You look like you've seen a ghost." "The fruit!" Velthar's voice cracked with desperation. He fumbled with the first injector, trying to load it into the delivery mechanism. "The Caltharian death apple." "Spit it out, now!" James glanced down at the half-eaten fruit in his hand, then back at the doctor with genuine confusion. It's really good, actually. Found a whole crate of them in the cargo bay. Thought they were just some exotic produce from the last station." "Produce?" Velthar's mandibles clicked so rapidly they blurred. "That is one of the most toxic substances in the known galaxy. The Caltharians use it for ritual executions. 1 bite contains enough cyanogenic glycosides to kill a Bronthar in seconds, a Velcrin in minutes." "You've eaten—" He glanced at the cores scattered on the table beside James. "How many?" James counted the cores. "This is my 4th one today. Had 2 yesterday." Velthar's legs buckled. He caught himself against the wall, his breathing rapid and wheezing. Six death apples. You should be dead?" James finished helpfully. He took another casual bite, and the crunching sound made Velthar flinch. "I mean, they're a little bitter, but nothing worse than the almonds we have back on Earth. Actually, they taste kind of similar." "Almonds?" Velthar's translator struggled with the unfamiliar word. "Yeah, tree nuts. Some of them have small amounts of cyanide in them, too. We just roast them or process them properly." James shrugged. "Humans eat lots of stuff with natural toxins. Cassava, bitter almonds, apple seeds, cherry pits, kidney beans if they're raw. Pufferfish if you're fancy." The doctor's medical scanner slipped from his grip and clattered to the floor. Your species regularly consumes poisons?" "Well, when you put it like that, it sounds bad," James said with a grin. "Look, Doc, humans evolved as persistence hunters and scavengers. We can eat stuff that would kill most other animals. It's kind of our thing." The observation deck doors opened again and Lisa rushed in, her blonde hair disheveled from sleep. "What's the emergency?" "The alarm woke half the ship." Velthar pointed a shaking appendage at James. "He's consumed 6 Caltharian death apples." The toxicity should have— Lisa's eyes went wide. She looked at James, at the fruit in his hand, then at the scattered cores. Then she started laughing. Deep belly laughs that echoed through the observation deck. "It's not funny," Velthar protested. "He should be experiencing organ failure, neural collapse." "Hemorrhaging, Doc," Lisa managed between laughs, wiping tears from her eyes. "Humans have been dealing with cyanide compounds since the Stone Age. Our bodies break it down with an enzyme called rhodonase. We're actually pretty good at it. But the concentration is probably about the same as a handful of bitter almonds," James interjected. "Maybe a bit more, sure, but nothing our liver can't handle in reasonable amounts." Velthar sank onto a bench, all 6 of his legs giving out simultaneously. Around them, other crew members had begun gathering at the doorway. Eurus, the reptilian navigator. Corin, the gaseous engineer contained in his environmental suit, and Lieutenant Pix, the insectoid weapons officer. They all stared in disbelief. "Let me understand this," Velthar said slowly, his voice hollow with shock. "Your species can just eat things that are lethal to 90% of galactic civilization?" "Pretty much," Lisa confirmed, walking over to examine the fruit in James's hand. "Though maybe not 6 in 2 days, James. That's pushing it even for us." They taste good, James protested. That's because your brain is literally rewarding you for successfully consuming and processing a poison, Velthar shrieked, his composure finally breaking completely. This is insanity! This is peak human evolution? Lisa offered with a smile. Eurissa's voice came from the doorway, her forked tongue flicking nervously. I once saw humans on Earth drinking fermented plant matter that produces ethanol, a neurotoxin and cellular poison. They did this recreationally. They call it partying. Corin added, his gaseous form swirling with agitation inside his suit. I researched it. They intentionally poison themselves for social bonding. And let's not forget about capsaicin. Pix chittered, his antennae drooping. They eat plants that have evolved chemical weapons to prevent consumption, and they say it adds flavor. James and Lisa exchanged glances and grinned. Velthar looked at each of his crew members, then back at the humans. He carefully picked up his medical scanner, his movements slow and deliberate. I need to update the human medical protocols again, for the 14th time this month. Sorry, Doc, James said, though he didn't sound particularly sorry. He held up the half-eaten death apple. Want a bite? Velthar's scream could be heard 3 decks away. As the doctor fled the observation deck, his medical kits forgotten on the floor, Lisa sat down beside James. She plucked the fruit from his hand and examined it thoughtfully. You know, she said, these really do taste like almonds. She took a bite. Behind them, they could hear Velthar's anguished wailing echoing through the ship's corridors, followed by what sounded suspiciously like him updating his resignation letter. Again, James chuckled and reached for another death apple from the small pile he'd brought with him. Think we should tell him about chocolate and dogs? Let's give him a few days to recover first, Lisa suggested, grinning as she took another bite of humanity's latest conquest over the galaxy's common sense. Outside the observation deck, the stars shone bright and indifferent, as they always had while aboard the Stellar Harmony. 2 humans continued their casual genocide against fruits that had evolved for millions of years specifically to avoid being eaten. Somewhere in the medical bay, Dr. Velthar was seriously reconsidering his career choices.